He was only 20, lost in New York, when a single accident in an art gallery turned his world upside down. One older man, charismatic, magnetic, owner of the gallery, offered him safety, guidance, and the warmth of a hand that seemed to promise stability. Another, his closest friend, subtle and intense, gave him nights filled with whispered truths, a forehead resting against his, and a handkerchief carrying the scent of temptation. Between daylight and midnight, between restraint and desire, he tried to hold both loves in silence. But lies live shorter than passion. When the two worlds collided, the city's lights became interrogation lamps, and every stolen touch turned into evidence. Hearts broke, words cut deeper than silence, and what once felt like salvation became a storm he could not escape. Two men, two versions of love, one impossible choice. In the end, he lost both. But the question remains which man truly owned his heart. I rehearsed my pitch in a sublet that smelled like someone else's cologne. Alex Reed, 20, summer intern. At 7, I walked into a gala I had no business attending. Glass stairs, donors, wearing a borrowed press badge that looked braver than I felt. My editor wanted the future of American art. Translation, one lead, two quotes, no mistakes. I tried to match the room's rhythm, slow nods, quick smiles. At 7:43, my phone vibrated. Ethan, I shouldn't have looked. A video opened between sculptures that seemed to hold their breath. First his laugh, then another familiar. The camera swung to my roommate's jaw, to hands I knew, to a kiss landing where mine used to. 21 seconds, long enough to move something heavy inside me. Applause rose as if for an invisible performance. I stared at the black screen because disbelief is stubborn gravity. My chest tightened. I set the phone down, but my hands kept shaking. Excuse me, Alex, right? A donor leaned in. Who are you with? The ledger, I lied. Covering the new acquisitions. Good, she said. They unveil at 8. I hunted for a quote. The largest sculpture, a dark metal, around mirror-shelled, the room the way a secret holds a family. I wrote that down and scanned the crowd. That's when I noticed him. A man in a black suit, mid-30s, handsome in the way restraint is handsome, a gray streak at the temple. People tilted toward him. Later I'd learn his name, Michael. When his gaze reached me it paused, as if he recognized something he couldn't place. I looked away first. Beside him stood another man, not stealing light, just keeping a piece of it. Slim, early 30s, with a deliberate way of listening that made speakers feel expensive. Our eyes met for a confessional second. He smiled like he knew the ending and wouldn't spoil it. I tucked the moment like a lucky coin. His name would come later. Adrian at 7:50. 8, someone tapped the mic. The crowd concentrated. I wedged closer. My phone buzzed again. Ethan's 3 dots, blinking like faulty brakes. I silenced it, but the message wrote itself anyway. I think we should take space this summer. Air got heavier. I misjudged the plinth's slick edge. When the cloth snapped down, applause, phones raise. I stepped back to find ground that wasn't there. My heel clipped the base, panic ran down my spine. My notebook flew, my shoulder hit the column. No dramatic crash. Just a sickening click, a hinge in the world giving way. The column leaned slow, unbelieving thin farther. I lunged to catch what a roomful of money could not. Cold metal stunned my palms. For one breath, everything balanced. The sculpture, my summer, the version of me ID brought here. Then weight told the truth. It went over, grazing the floor with a gentle violence that drew a gasp. Silence, security moved in practiced choreography. Sir, step back. Faces turned to me like mirrors that refused to flatter. "I'm sorry," I said, from a place deeper than accident. Badge, a guard said. I gave it up like proof of a person I had almost been. My notebook lay open, a shoe found at the page tore. They steered me into a side office. A man in navy hovered over a clipboard. Name, Alex Reed. Affiliation, intern, I said. City ledger, well, file an incident report, he said. The piece appears repairable. The owner will be informed. You'll be contacted. By who? The gallery that owns the work. He finally looked up, the way people do when they realize you're someone's problem. You should go. When I turned, Michael stood in the doorway. He had the stillness of someone who could make a room exhale. It's handled, he told the man with the clipboard, then to me, gentler. Are you hurt? Just my pride. A small, real smile. That's repairable. Adrian appeared a step behind him, standing at his own punctuation. He offered a linen handkerchief with a stitch tie. Only then did I realize I'd been crying. I took it. The cloth carried a clean, cool scent. Thank you, I said. Borrow it, he replied, voice low. Return it when you're steadier. I can buy you another, I tried. He shook his head, no need. His gaze held mine a beat longer than strangers owe. Michael Hale, the first man said, extending his hand. The piece is mine, well managed the repair. Grace in a suit stunned me. Sorry, I said again. What matters is that you're okay, Michael told me. Go home. We'll talk tomorrow, tomorrow. The word felt like a rope thrown from a ship. I'll call, he said. Outside, the city did what it always does. I walked until I found a bench and sat, palms pressed together. They still smelled like cold metal. When I squeezed, I felt that suspended second before the fall, when saving and losing weighed the same. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Alex Reed. The voice was measured. Michael, I wanted to make sure you got home. Okay, I said. Thank you for earlier. Sleep, he said. Meet me at the gallery at noon. Another vibration arrived as his call ended. A text from a different number. Return the handkerchief when you can. I typed, I could bring it by tomorrow. Deleted, I typed, thank you for the rescue. Deleted, I typed nothing and read his message again, warmth rising where the cloth had touched. In tonight's wreckage, 2 doors had opened. I told myself I'd walk through only one. Rain began. I folded the handkerchief into a square the size of a promise and tucked it into my pocket like evidence. Morning pretended the city had forgiven me. I ironed my one decent shirt, tucked Adrian's handkerchief into my pocket like a small battery, and walked to Michael's gallery with a stomach doing hard math. He met me at the door as if he had been expecting exactly this second. Alex, he said, letting my name soften. Come in, the fallen piece stood in the back, already bandaged by conservators. It will live, he said. Most things do if you give them care. Sorry, I began. He lifted a hand, the apology dissolved. Let me earn your day. Coffee, he made pour, over like a ceremony. Steam rose. I watched the line of his forearm as he lifted the kettle, and felt ridiculous for noticing. He handed me a mug. Our fingers didn't touch, and somehow still did. You're not in trouble, he said. I took responsibility. You barely knew me. I knew enough. You tried to catch it. Braver to say your name after. Heat from the cup steadied me. He studied my face the way people read weather. What are you doing after work? Trying not to ruin anything else. Let me help. His smile warmed. There's an opening in the village. Walk with me. We spent the afternoon in small paragraphs. He showed me how he hangs a room where eyes land, when to let them rest. I carried tools, asked questions that didn't sound like an interview, learned that he liked jazz the way some people like oxygen. By evening, my nerves had softened into something that could hold warmth. At the opening, he introduced me as a sharp I trust, a phrase that rearranged the furniture inside me. He didn't touch me, not exactly, but sleeves found sleeves and breath leaned close. The restraint was its own electricity. Outside, the summer evening leaned closer. Does New York scare you? He asked. Only when it looks back, I said. You turn paintings over, he said, watching me. I want to see both sides. We stood too long for colleagues. His hand hovered near my shoulder, not landing, like a bird trusting the branch but not the wind. I didn't move closer. Neither did he. The space behaved like a promise. At my corner he said, text me when you're home. I did. His reply came instantly. Sleep well, Alex. In the morning a message waited from a number that wasn't unknown. Return my handkerchief, or we can negotiate an extension. An address followed. I told myself it was a simple errand. I took the train downtown and found Adrian's building over a bookstore that smelled like old arguments. He opened the door in a white shirt and a quiet that made time sit up. You found me, he said. I have your I answered, holding the envelope. Keep the night, he said. Return the cloth. His apartment was more listening than furniture. He poured tea. We sat by a window, framing a water tower like a patient animal. He watched me the way people read a line twice. How's your heart today? Learning a new beat. That sounds necessary, also painful. He nodded like a doctor who knows the cure is weather. Michael spoke highly of you. My mouth opened then closed. He did. He said you listened to rooms. Adrian's smile bent warm. What do you hear now? You arrange space to make people breathe, I said. He received it as proof, not flattery. We didn't touch for a long time. Still, closeness gathered like condensation. His knee brushed mine and paused there, simple nearness made meaningful. I told him about the sculpture. He listened so fully that quiet felt dressed in linen. When I stood to leave, my shoulder grazed his chest, his hand rose and stopped on my ribs, measuring a pulse through cotton. Heat moved. Careful, you can't keep the handkerchief, he said, voice lower. Insurance, so you'll come back. I would have anyway, I said. On the street I carried 2 silences. Michael's asked for patience, Adrian's invited confession. I told myself I was simply making friends in a small world. I told myself it was harmless to hold 2 doors open at once. My phone buzzed. Michael, dinner tonight. I answered yes too quickly. Over wine he asked about work. Over pasta he asked about my mother's laugh. His questions weren't probes, they were road signs for getting home. When he brushed a crumb from my sleeve, his fingers lingered like a thought, choosing my skin as its page. Warmth seeped through fabric, my breath volunteered to count it. We walked after, to a block where the streetlights learned intimacy. Under one he stopped. I don't want to rush what is careful, he said, but I also don't want to misname this. His knuckles grazed mine, a permission that left an imprint. What should we call it? I asked. Something honest, something that lets us proceed. He kissed my cheek, steady, deliberate kind of touch that vows not to break what we can't fix. My hands found his sleeves and stayed a second longer than necessary, memorizing the architecture of restraint. Back in my room, I laid Adrian's handkerchief beside my phone, a white square and a lit screen like 2 versions of Mercy. Messages glowed. Michael, home, I answered. Home, thank you, good night, almost at once another. A film forum tomorrow. Or the river, pretending we're watching something. I typed, yes, deleted. I typed, maybe, deleted. I typed, tell me the time. 2 doors open, letting in different weather. I told myself there was no storm, not yet. Adrian chose the film like he chose sentences, quiet outside, loaded beneath. We met outside Film Forum, the marquee blinking like a restless heart. He wore a navy shirt, sleeves folded with intent. When he saw me, something in his face softened. I felt the same inside my chest. We took the last row, seats made for secrets. Lights dimmed, shoulders learned distance. Halfway through, his knee touched mine and stayed. His fingertips hovered near my wrist, heat gathering like a quiet argument. During a scene where 2 men stood too close to speak, Adrian leaned in. I love when a film trusts you to read breath, he whispered, his own breath brushing my jaw before retreating. The space he left felt crowded with meaning. After, we walked narrow streets. His sleeve brushed mine, I didn't move. At a cafe, our knees touched beneath the table. How's your heart? He asked. Learning a new beat, I answered. His palm hovered over my forearm, warmth without claim. Leaving, my shoulder grazed his chest. His hand paused on my ribs. Keep the handkerchief, he murmured, so you'll come back. The next night, Michael took me to a jazz set in a room that smelled like history. He introduced me not as an intern, but as a sharp eye I trust. When the trumpet bent into a lonely note, his hand rested at my back, guiding warm. Our chests nearly touched. You okay? He asked. I am now. We didn't kiss, but the music did it for us. Outside, he traced a thumb along my wrist. May I take you somewhere quiet Saturday? I said yes too quickly. Saturday, we walked a museum before opening, empty rooms, walls whispering. In front of a portrait, Michael leaned close, his breath at my neck. Look at the light, it's faithful. His hand hovered by my collarbone, teaching my skin the idea of touch. Before a sculpture of 2 figures leaning into gravity, his palm touched my chest, feeling my heart, then withdrew. Breakfast, he asked, gentle as hunger. That evening, Adrian sent a photo of a river pier. Borrow an hour. We stood watching water cradle boats. I like pieces that make space where there shouldn't be, he said. Like when 2 people stand so close that nothing breaks. His forehead rested against mine just there, steady, then slipped away. The restraint felt like a vow. Nights learned rhythm. Michael's songs with the message sleep here. Adrian's sentences about paintings that miss me. I answered both, half honesty, half hunger. Storms passed. With Michael under an awning, his fingers lifted my chin. Tell me what you want. Time, I whispered. Then I'll give you mine. Later at Adrian's, thunder tapped the windows. His hand covered my heartbeat, warm and steady. Don't speak, he said. Just stay. I did until midnight. At home, I laid Adrian's handkerchief beside my phone, Michael's music playing. 2 doors open, both promising shelter. I told myself it wasn't betrayal, Not yet, but the air between yes and yes had started to burn. Michael invited me to his gallery late at night. The place looked different in silence, like the art was waiting only for us. He poured 2 glasses of wine and asked about my dreams, really asked, as if answers mattered. His hand brushed mine when he passed the glass. I felt the pull, and for a moment I let myself imagine staying. Then footsteps echoed. Adrian entered carrying a folder. He froze for half a second, then smiled at Michael. "Sorry, didn't know you had company." Michael answered lightly. "Alexis helping me with curation notes." The lie was small, almost kind, but I felt its weight. Adrian's eyes flicked to me calm, unreadable, but sharper than wine. We 3 stood together, art glowing behind us. Michael placed a hand on my shoulder, a gesture so natural yet heavy with claim. Adrian noticed, of course he noticed. He set the folder down and asked Michael about logistics, but his gaze returned to me like a question left unanswered. Later, when Michael stepped away for a call, Adrian came closer. His voice was low. "Careful, Alex. This world notices more than you think." "What do you mean?" He smiled, not cruel, not kind. "Just balance your steps. Some floors aren't stable." His hand brushed Miniquick. "Electric? Hidden?" Then he turned as Michael came back. The tension sat between us like a 4th guest. Michael leaned close to me, whispering something about dinner tomorrow. Adrian picked up his folder, lips curved in something almost ironic. Before leaving, he touched my elbow, so lightly it might have been an accident. That night I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed. Michael, sending a picture of the gallery lights. Then, moments later, Adrian, "Did you feel the air shift tonight?" 2 men, 2 messages, 2 truths pulling me apart. Days blurred into stolen moments. Michael walked me through paintings, his hand resting gently at my back, telling me, "I want you to see what I see." Adrian led me to rooftops, his forehead pressed to mine, whispering, "Don't explain, just breathe." But small cracks appeared. Michael once asked, "You've been busy," his tone casual, but his eyes stayed on me too long. Adrian teased, "I thought I'd see you yesterday." Not jealous, curious. Curious in a way that warned me the walls were thinner than I believed. One evening I left Michael's car and almost bumped into Adrian outside the gallery. His smile froze, then softened. "You've been here," he said, not asking. My chest tightened. I wanted to tell the truth, to tell nothing, to tell both at once. Instead I laughed it off. Weak. Research? Adrian's gaze lingered, gentle but searching. "Don't let research cost you the story." He walked away, shoulders lit by streetlight. I stood caught between relief and fear. That night, lying awake, I realized something had shifted. The safety of invisibility was gone. The threads I had woven were starting to glisten under light. And still, when Michael's hand found mine the next day, when Adrian's breath brushed my jaw that evening, I didn't stop either. I couldn't. 2 doors were closing in, and I was still standing between them. Michael liked mornings, Adrian liked nights. That's how I started measuring time sunlight with one, shadows with the other. It worked until the days began to overlap. Saturday morning, Michael drove me to the riverfront. He wore a dark sweater, sleeves pulled to his forearms, as if simplicity could guard against the city's chaos. He placed a thermos of coffee in my hands and watched me sip. Like giving warmth was his private language. We walked along the pier, wind tugging at our words. He stopped suddenly, turned to me, and brushed a thumb along my jaw. "You look like the city hasn't decided whether to break you or keep you," he said softly. "And which one do you think? Keep you?" He answered without hesitation. He leaned closer, not a full kiss, just lips brushing my temple. The restraint was more intimate than anything reckless could have been. By evening I was with Adrian. He had texted, "Books and whiskey." I couldn't say no. His apartment smelled of old paper and citrus. We sat cross-legged on the floor, a bottle open between us, novels scattered like unspoken truths. Adrian leaned back on one arm, watching me. "Michael sees you in daylight," he said suddenly, almost idly, "but you belong to the darker hours." His hand found my wrist, holding it lightly, as if checking my pulse for secrets. I didn't answer. Instead, I leaned toward him, forehead resting against his. The silence said more than words. His breath lingered at my cheek, his fingers pressed gently at my ribs, pausing, listening. "Stay tonight," he whispered. I almost did, but guilt is a stubborn clock. I left past midnight, carrying his scent on my sleeve like evidence. On the train, Michael's message appeared. Tomorrow, brunch. I want you to meet someone important. My chest tightened. Two promises in one body. Sunday came heavy. Michael brought me to a small restaurant in the village. As we stepped inside, my heart stumbled. Adrian was already there, seated by the window, reading a newspaper folded with precision. Michael greeted him warmly, clasping his shoulder. "Alex, this is my oldest friend, Adrian." The world tilted. I forced a smile. Adrian's eyes flicked up, calm as still water. He extended a hand. "We've already met," he said evenly. His grip lingered a fraction too long. Michael laughed, oblivious. "Of course you Havegallery circles are small. We ate together, 3 lines of a story twisting." Michael talked about new acquisitions. Adrian asked me about my studies. Beneath the table, my knee brushed Adrian's by accident. He didn't move it away. My pulse roared in my ears. Michael poured wine, leaning close to whisper a joke only I heard. For a moment I thought I'd choke on the weight of both touches. When brunch ended, Adrian excused himself with a smile too polished. "We'll talk later, Alex." Michael clapped his shoulder as he left. "He's one of the best minds in the city. You're lucky to know him." My throat was dry. I nodded like agreement was survival. The days after blurred. With Michael, I wandered through museums before crowds, his hand guiding me gently at the small of my back, his voice low in my ear describing brushstrokes like confessions. With Adrian, I sat on rooftops watching stars bruise the sky, his palms steady against my heartbeat, his words soft. "You're too young to be torn like this." Yet I let both men hold me. I let both leave their warmth on my skin. Each moment felt like truth together. They felt like lies. One night Adrian pressed his forehead to mine and asked, "If I told you I wanted more, would you run?" "Not from you," I whispered. Another night Michael touched my wrist where my veins showed. "I don't want to rush you, but I don't want to lose you either." His eyes searched mine, waiting for an answer I didn't know how to give. The tension thickened, but I told myself I was balancing. That I could keep 2 doors open forever. It broke in small ways first. At the gallery, Michael left me sorting files while he took a call. Adrian walked in. Our eyes met too long. His hand brushed the edge of the desk, fingers curling as if resisting more. "You can't keep this hidden forever," he murmured. "Hidden." My voice cracked. He gave a faint smile. "Michael trusts, I observe, difference matters." Before I could reply, Michael returned, and Adrian's expression rearranged into professional ease. Later, Michael drove me home. "Funny," he said casually. "Adrian's been different lately. Distracted. Did you notice?" I swallowed hard. "Maybe just tired." Michael nodded, eyes on the road, but silence pressed heavier than words. One stormy evening, I found myself in Adrian's apartment again. Rain hit the windows like warnings. He poured tea, then touched my jaw with steady fingers. "You can't stand in 2 places forever, Alex, I know." I whispered, though I didn't move away when his lips brushed my cheek. At the same time, my phone buzzed on the table. "Michael, miss you tonight." "Wish you were here." I silenced it, but Adrian's eyes caught the glow. He didn't comment, but the air shifted, heavy, dangerous. For the first time, fear joined romance. I felt it crackle between us like lightning waiting for ground. The storm began with good intentions. Michael planned a small after-hours sal, hunting people, low lights, a pianist. "Come early," he texted. I lit candles, set lemons in a bowl, curved chairs so strangers would sit like potential. At 7:30, Adrian wrote, "Running late, save me a corner." I hadn't told Michael that Adrian and I had been seeing each other. I had rehearsed honesty and filed it under later. Later ended when the clock did. Guests arrived with the smell of rain. Michael moved like calm weather. I stayed near the back and watched both doors attendants. I told myself exits I knew. The pianist began a ballad. Michael leaned in, stay after, warm breath at my ear. I nodded. My phone vibrated. Adrian again, 2 blocks away. The door opened on a wet gust. Adrian slipped in. He saw me first, then let his attention move to Michael. They hugged. My stomach finished the math I refused. No safe angle tonight. For 40 minutes I managed napkins, jackets, the choreography of pretending. Adrian's gaze met mine and softened by a degree. Michael's hand rested at the small of my back, as the pianist slid into a standard he loved. Then we began. Michael invited Adrian to speak about intimacy in curation spaces between objects. "Under the track light," Adrian said, "we arrange meaning so people can approach themselves without flinching." He looked at me once, enough to sign his name across the moment. Questions followed. Someone asked about risk. Adrian answered, the danger isn't the fall. It's the second before, when you think you can hold everything at once. Soft laughter. My chest didn't. My phone betrayed me from the console where it was charging. A preview bloomed. Michael, earlier, sleep here tonight. And beneath it, Adrian, just now, stay after. I moved to pocket the screen, but a helpful guest lifted it. Alex, I think this is Michael reached the phone first. He meant to pass it without looking. His gaze snagged on the twin names stacked like a choice. He didn't flinch, but something turned in his shoulders. He set the phone down. Excuse me, he told the room. He opened the storage door. Alex, he said quietly, help me with the extra glasses. Inside, lemon oil and wood. He closed the door, but didn't lock it. Tell me what I'm seeing, he said careful, not angry. I considered choosing one truth. I should have told you. Adrian and I, the door moved again. Adrian stepped in and let it rest. He looked at me first riverwalks, a folded handkerchief. We can't speak plainly, he said, or let the room do it for us. How long? Michael asked. Since the night of the film, Adrian said. It wasn't planned. Michael nodded like he had known the shape but not the color. And you, Alex? I didn't intend harm, I said. I thought I could be careful. Careful, he repeated, the word going brittle. You've been careful with us the way a thief is careful with time. He didn't raise his voice. Do you love him? The pronoun hovered. Either answer would be true and incomplete. I love what I am with each of you, I said. Different rooms in the same house. That's not a house, Adrian said softly. That's a hallway. Silence. Piano notes like dropped silver. Michael rubbed his temple. I want be triangulated in my own gallery, he said. We end this tonight. Adrian straightened. I want be hidden. If we end, let it be because the truth is wrong, not because the light is uncomfortable. They looked at me like Cohen, Vesters studying a crack. I wanted to disappear into usefulness. Instead I said, I chose both of you because I wanted more ways to breathe. Heartbreak left me small. I was greedy with oxygen. Michael's laugh was one syllable. And now the room is out of air. Something in him softened, and it hurt more. He lifted a hand toward my face top, then let it fall. I don't punish mistakes, he said. I correct systems. Correction. The salon ends in 20 minutes. You'll thank our guests and go home. Tomorrow we'll arrange the practicalities. To Adrian, you and I will not speak tonight. Adrian absorbed it. You'll leave by the front. I won't hide. The door opened by accident. A guest, searching for the restroom, found us three men learning how mess looks under fluorescence. Oh, sorry, she said, closing the door on our weather. When it shut, the storm arrived. Not raised voices or thrown glass, just rupture. Michael stepped past me, paused, and whispered, You were a good thing, Alex. Present tense retreated. Past tense took the keys. He returned to the room and practiced grace. I stayed with Adrian, the air between us heavy. He's right, Adrian said. About the hallway, I know. Come with me, he said. Not to whinge us to stop standing where doors slam. I can't, I said. Not yet, he nodded, hurt moving with the dignity of a slow tide. Then I'll go. He squeezed my shoulder. Return the handkerchief when you don't need it. He left by the front. I stepped back into the salon, thanked donors I would never see again, folded chairs, blew out candles. Rain pounded the windows with the confidence of inevitability. At the door, Michael didn't touch me. Text me when you're home, he said, because care is stubborn even when love is not. Outside, the city rehearsed its next performance. My phone buzzed once, then twice. I didn't look. I walked into the rain and let it do the speaking. The city didn't stop for me. Cabs still argued, neon still hummed, lovers still leaned close in doorways. But inside everything was hushed. Michael hadn't called. Adrian hadn't written. Their absence was louder than any storm. I walked the streets like a man carrying two shadows, both heavier than his own. At night, I found myself outside Michael's gallery. The lights were off, windows dark. I pressed my palm to the glass, remembering his hand at my chest, the steadiness it gave me. I wanted to knock, to beg, but silence pressed back harder. The next evening, I stood near Adrian's building. He appeared at the door, speaking to someone I didn't know. He laughed soft, the way he once had with me. Our eyes met across the street. He didn't cross. He just touched his pocket, as if checking for something small and white. The handkerchief, then he turned away, days blurred. My phone stayed quiet. I scrolled old messages. Sleep here tonight, borrow an hour, tell me what you want. Ghosts of promises that no longer opened. One night I sat on my bed, the handkerchief folded beside me. I held it, breathing in a scent that had already faded. I thought about returning it, thought about keeping it forever, thought about burning it just to feel warmth. The truth was simple. I had loved them both, and in loving both I had lost them both. Outside, thunder began again, but this time there was no shelter, no arms waiting. Just me and the sound of a city that never paused for heartbreak. I lay down, eyes open to the ceiling, and told myself I was free. The lie almost worked, almost.